Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hello, everybody out there. It's me, the monstrositous one, Monstrositous X, baby. And I'm here with the Matrix Doctrine, Systems of Control. Words, baby. Words is just another system of control. You might not think that, you might not know that, but it's the very first system that you are taught by your parents. Other things like school, church, government, police, but words, they're the number one, and they're all made up. They're all non-existent, not really real. The words that people choose to use, the words that people use, not choose to, because there's not that many other to choose from. Well, there's plenty to choose from now that I think of it, because that's part of the reason why we have so much trouble communicating, because we have words, so many words that mean the same thing. And then they're all fake. They all been pulled out of someone's ass over the centuries, millennia, and they're not pure. They're not pure communications. Animals communicate purely through emotions. Now, I've been watching a couple of programs or whatever on about how to let's see where about where language got started, right? And I was watching this thing, and this guy, he's going on and on. I was watching it from the beginning, and he just was going on about this grammar this and grammar that. And he was making it, well, let me see if I don't know how much of this I can go through. Or later for that. Let me get back in. Which is absolutely nothing. And we've already destroyed the planet to the point that we desperate to figure out how to reverse it. But that'll never happen. We won't do it in this lifetime, because it took so many generations to screw it up. It's going to take that long to fix it. Trust. So All of this is irrelevant to me because the size of your brain and all of this intelligence. See, I know that this is a load of crap. Everything he's saying is frivolous bullshit because we filled our lives with words and phrases and all of these different things, and we don't communicate one bit. We talk a lot of garbage back and forth to each other, and none of it's relevant. None of it really is. It's just things to pass the time. So all of this stuff that he's talking about, how brilliant we are with the brain size and all of this, is just a waste of time. He's trying to be funny. Yeah, but that's after Homo erectus developed weapons. You got to remember, look at him. Does this look like someone who can really withstand? If it wasn't for their numbers and the weapons that they created, they were the fucking prime meal of the day. You could bet and believe Homo erectus met their fate plenty of times, especially long before they started developing weapons and tools and all of that. So whatever language they had was mostly grunts and stuff like that. He said things here like computers, they only use two. They let him. They were desperate. And they're calling it Venus. They're calling it Venus as if it was a sculpted statue. That is, it's inferring that this creature was a whole lot more intelligent than he actually is or was. So let's get that straight. He is embellishing. But that's why language began, in my opinion. And I'm no scholar, but if you run walking around with things that's around you all the time and you don't need to use them, why do you need to develop a language? You know, certain things force you into needing languages or a diverse way of communicating. If you're doing the same things over and over, you certainly can communicate with very minimal communication skills or techniques. Pointing things, grunting. It's when you start making things that you no longer have those grunts for. You start making boats and tools and spears and all of these different things. That's when language starts. Then you start having to develop more than just those simple grunts. Those grunts expand into more elaborate grunts and things, and he goes into some of that. Well, I don't care about that. Okay. Okay. Okay, now hold on a second. Now, how do you know that? See, this is where I start questioning things that people say. They start talking about how what these creatures had. Now, he said that we've been around for like 200,000 years or something like that. And Homo erectus was around for 2 million years. So how the heck 200,000 years? How do you know what the hell Homo erectus vocal cords look like? How do you know that? How do you know that? There's no proof that they can figure that out. Yeah, they're just pointing and saying, "Oh well, they must have been similar to gorillas. They must have been similar to chimps, or they must have." How do you know that unless you find? And even then, you have to know that even if you found a body that was in some kind of shape to where you can say that it was preserved in some manner, it's still going to be decayed and the parts of it destroyed beyond recognition, solidified, petrified, all kinds of things. How do you know where body parts are located? And even if you could determine where these body parts were located, how do you know how they functioned? Come on, let's stop with this assumption bullshit. The extra sound is bitch. He's equating a computer which does all kinds of statistical calculations using those the zero and the one, as a way of communicating. People don't communicate like that, and they never have. Stop it with this false analogies. That's right. And a computer can use those two sounds to communicate, but people can't use two sounds to communicate. You can, but very, very extremely limited. Not to create an entire language. Only a computer can use two uh, that binary code in order to create an entire language. This is not. I don't like when people start throwing things into their explanations that can't be qualified, quantified, or whatever you want to call it, proven in any way. What a lot of what he's saying is kind of suspect. Oops. Well, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Hold on. Ah, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I can't. Their childhood development is faster because they had to be. If they didn't get up and move, they would get et. Come on. This is ridiculous to think that because we get more time, because we don't have predators hunting us, that it's beneficial for us to take time to develop is ridiculous. We become softer, weaker, slower, mentally, emotionally, all kinds of weak. And he's trying to make out like we're so much better because we're these slow, pathetic lumps of crap. Our bodies are soft, our minds are soft, and because we can speak, we can we have all of these made up noises that we make that makes us better. Come on, this is ridiculous. All we've done is complicated our lives with a bunch of verbiage that means has no point to it. The majority of the words that you speak to one another is a waste of time, just passing time. You talk about video games, how your day was, all of these ridiculous words don't hold any importance unless you're doing something, of course, in society. But to your life, in order to survive, just to survive in life, all you need is to eat, procreate, drink water, and have some kind of shelter. That's all you need. All of this other stuff with money and dialoguing and all of this stuff is a waste of time. Animals have been using the most basic of communications, which is mostly direct emotional contact, and anyone with an animal understands that if you could talking with that you around your animal, you can understand what they need and what they want immediately. There's no lying, there's no hiding, there's no miscommunication, there's no deception, there's no leading, false leadings, how people will lead you to believe things when they're actually trying to get something else. There's no trickery. It's straightforward. And he's trying to make out like because we can speak in these elaborate verbiage or vocalizations that it makes us better somehow. It doesn't. Everything that we've created just made us slower and weaker, and just made us more lazy, more willing to be manipulated by others, more followers. And most of that began as children, when our parents began telling us, well, when you grow up, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you're going to, and start teaching you about religion and telling you, teaching you how to pronounce words. You think about words and how you pronounce them, and people, if you pronounce them wrong, people will point to you and correct you. And if you refuse to pronounce it the way that they say that it should be pronounced, you could be deemed illiterate, low intelligence. And that's the nature of words. They're all fake, but people have the right to tell you that you're an ignoramus because you mispronounce a word or you choose to pronounce it the way you want to. Black people have been twisting the English language around to create slang, and we've been called all kinds of degradation, low thinking, worthless types of individuals. But look at what's now. Look at what's going on now, where everybody's trying to talk like us, and it's been that way ever since we started doing that. We was the first one to go cool and baby and all of this stuff back in the 40s and 50s, and people are jumping all on it. The 80s, 90s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s, we came up with all kinds of different. The only thing wrong with about that is that black people throw it away instead of holding on to it. That's something that we created and we should be proud of, but we throw it away. So I don't agree with none of this. We're followers. We're a bunch of we make ourselves out to be such great things, but what do we do besides imprison ourselves in words? We imprison ourselves with all of these different fake things like money, time. Time is a made up word and a made up concept built as it's a system of control. You have to regulate and schedule your day according to these time schedules so that you can work for other people to make them rich, because that's what you do. Every time you go out and you working, you're not making yourself rich. Most of the people that make themselves rich, and I'm talking about rich, not middle class wealthy. $1 million today, that's just middle class. You're not really rich. You might be comfortable, but that could be eaten up in no time with one good hospital stay. So the words are they're not real, and they're useless. Useless. They are. We waste our time with communicating a whole bunch of nonsense. I have my dog, and he talked to me all the time. I talked to him all of the time. We didn't know exactly what we were saying to each other, but we was communicating. We understood. We had that emotional bond, and that's what it is. It's that emotional bond. I knew when he wanted to play. He made that well known. I knew when he wanted to eat. I knew when he wanted to go out and pee, because he would come to me and say that he wanted to go out. Of course, he developed a language of our own. He would hop a little bit, and I would say, "Oh, you want to go out?" And he'd spin around in circles and head for the back door. But I knew there's no miscommunication. He never lied to me. When he did something wrong, he always showed it. It was all over him. It was no lies, no hiding, no deceptions. But people, we lie, we deceive, and we pull all of these crap. We come up with these realities and ways of thinking that has nothing to do with anything. We force each other into, like women, they'll question you or what you do to how you feel and all of this emotion. Oh, you don't explain yourself. You don't talk to me. You don't tell me about your history. You don't tell me enough about yourself. All you need to know is what's in front of you. You don't need to know a person's history in order to know who they are. It's how they treat you. That's who they are. What they show you right then. But people think that because they know your whole life story that makes you close. No, it doesn't. I've known people who've known all about me and still stab me in the back. Words don't mean shit. It's the emotion behind them that's the important thing. But people they throw away all of that direct communication for the bull crap, and they think that that's something special. Well, I don't. Joke, funny, funny, laugh, giggle, motherfucker. Okay, now, okay, And Homo erectus, we got advantages and disadvantages, and most of them, whether they're advantages or disadvantages, they're all our own. We created them. We create our own problems because there are none. We got rid of the only problems that mattered. And that was the wild animals that was hunting us. Now we hunting ourselves. We prey upon ourselves with this whole idea of all of this fake made up lifestyle. And words is at the forefront. We use words to manipulate each other every day. With your kids, your parents, your wife, your significant others. We communicate. There's always a battle. There's never no there's always some kind of using words to manipulate the other one to do what you want, to get what you want. There's always that. There's never just, well, I guess some people are more straightforward, but for the most part, people are caught up in the matrix. The matrix has them. And everything around you, just like what the clips that I showed you at the beginning of this stream. You don't know what's wrong. A lot of people don't know what's wrong, but they feel it. And this is and for people like just some guy who says that most people out there, they want to believe that they're Morpheus or Neo. I'm Morpheus, motherfucker. That's right. That's right, because I'm putting you up on what's real. The reality about reality is it's all fake. We're living in one great big cosplay. People trudging back and forth. Would you rather be free or be rich? Because you're not free. And if you was free, you wouldn't need to be rich. If you was truly free, you wouldn't need to be rich. But people are so connected to that idea, that ideal of the wealth, that they'll sacrifice anything. That's what it is. You're not freed from, if you haven't been freed from the matrix, you're a potential agent. You will turn on somebody who's trying to bring you the truth. Okay, how is that hierarchical? A hierarchy where somebody's the boss and other people are taking orders. It sounded to me like people was working in concert in order to accomplish their goals. That's what it sounded like to me. Where did it become a hierarchy? He's not explaining everything. He's just spitting things out and you're supposed to accept it. Hierarchical thought, isn't that when, like, you have people above other people? Somebody's the leader, somebody's a follower, somebody's a lower down on that hierarchical ladder. Beta, alpha, beta, gamma, all of that crap. Isn't that what that is about? Now, this is where he loses me. He says you only need two things to have a language. Why? What does symbols and grammar have to do with anything? You don't need symbols or grammar to have a language. This is absolutely ridiculous. as long as you communicate and you have a language, no matter how primitive it might be. You don't need grammar. Grammar suggests that you have to be speaking in some kind of an order. No, I could just say rock. I look at you and just go rock. Most people will go rock. Okay, that's a rock. And you keep going rock, they'll pick it up and throw it toward you because you must want it. You don't need no order. Or you just need for the other person to comprehend. That's all you need. You do that enough times, when person goes rock, they're gonna pick it up and throw it to you. Right? Come on, this is ridiculous. This is not true. This is what I'm talking about, how languages, how people use word to mislead you. Now, he's probably not trying to. The way that he thinks, yeah, it's probably he thinks that this is the way to explain it to somebody who doesn't really know. He's talking to an audience of people who's there to learn something. This is TED. It's supposed to be some kind of learning thing. So people are there expecting to hear wisdom. I don't expect to hear wisdom. I'm there to question everything that word that comes out of his mouth, because that's the way you learn. If you accept everything on face value, you're going to be suckered. You're going to be the one who gets taken to the cleaners. You have to ask questions. Philosopher. A philosopher, somebody who does what? What does a philosopher do? He studies what? Thought. Isn't that what a philosopher does? He studies thought, the rationality of thought. He philosophizes, he speculates on thought and reality and all types of things like that. Yeah, well, let's hear what this philosopher has to say. Yeah, but those indexes probably developed long before language did. But what does that have to do with language? Hold on. Did he say signs? Hold on. See? That's what I mean. He said symbols. He said symbols first. Now he's talking about signs. Now that's two different things in my book, symbols and signs. He's talking about two different things. And if he's representing them both as the same thing, then he should say that. He shouldn't change what he's saying. A sign is different from a symbol. How many symbols do you need and how much grammar? What's a symbol? And now he's going right into what is a sign. What? Smoke and a footprint is just about as much the same thing. It depends on what you're in search of. If you see smoke, you know that there's a fire somewhere. It's the same thing as if you see a footprint, you know that there's somebody around. It's the same thing. What is he talking about? He's trying to twist the words around. Where does icons come into being able to communicate? Now you're going to tell me that these Homo erectus was going around looking for icons? Really? Some kind of image of something in order to survive and communicate? Really? 200,000 years ago? Really? I don't believe this bullshit. That's what I'm talking about. He's trying to make it sound all educated and like he's discovered something. There's something about what he's saying that's important, but it's all propaganda. He's not saying anything. He's not saying anything. But that's not needed to communicate. You don't need the Mona Lisa. That's just an piece of art. That rock, if they made it and dyed it the way he's trying to signify, instead of having some iron ore turned rusty and seep all over the thing, how do we know how it got that way? He's trying to say that they made it that way. How do we know how it got that way? Maybe they found it like that. We don't know, but he's trying to make it seem like it's something that they did. They could have sat on it and rubbed on it and caused it to get smooth. That could have been something they handled all of the time. And it's just like river rock. If you have water running over rocks, all of the edges would eventually get knocked off, and instead of having jagged rock, you have a smooth stone. So come on with this garbage. People don't ask questions. Pay attention to people and what they say. Don't let people scam you. You have to pay attention to what they say and ask questions. It don't matter how smart you are. If you ask questions, you will be a wise motherfucker. Now, what does any of that have to do with communication and language? Creating a language to speak with. What does the cross have to do? Symbols of any kind, later for just the cross. What does any symbol have to do with a language? You don't need language. You don't need to be able to write in order to have a language. I don't understand what he's trying to say. He's making whatever he's saying is being jumbled by adding things in here like grammar and symbols and signs that has nothing to do with being able to speak to someone. What he's talking about is writing. If you ask me, he's talking about writing, having to being able to actually document language. That's what he's saying when it comes to symbols and signs. Otherwise, communicating, you don't need a sign to communicate. You don't need to see a footprint or smoke to communicate. This is ridiculous. Shoot, you communicate with somebody just by blowing your nose and laughing. Get snot all over your face. It's a communication. It's basic. It's laughter, humor, but it's communication. It's part of language. Come on. A cardinality of 4. You see what I'm saying? He's got this extensively long word just to say it's a number. The number 4. It's a mathematical thing. It's not grammatical. It's numerical. Ah, come on. I do not believe that after all of these centuries or how millennia, that certain people in certain locations don't know how to count. That's got to be one of the first things that you learn is this and this adds up to more. You might not know specifically what, but you know that when you put things together, you get more of it, because that's the beginnings of math, right? Adding and subtraction. That's the very first thing that you use when you collecting things. If you need 2 of something, you're gonna tell me there's never a time in primitive man life that he only needed 3 of something or 2 of something. I don't believe it. I don't believe that there might be languages where they don't say in a specific way. I don't know what he's talking about with the language that he's talking of, but I don't believe those people don't know anything about counting or math in any way. It might not have a high form of math like multiplication, but you can't tell me that they can't count. I just don't. I find that very difficult to believe. I find it very difficult to believe that they don't have any use for numbers, even in their most basis forms. I just find that hard to believe. Is it impossible? No, I guess not. Because on a primitive level, you don't really need to be able to count. All you need to do, like I said, is fill your stomach, procreate, shelter, and water. That's all you need. So it's not outside the realm of reality. But I just find it hard to believe that they don't understand the difference between having 2 of something, 3 of something, 4 of something, especially on that lower level. If you're going to make something to sit on or lay on, like a bed, or you need posts or something to make lean-tos, or to make any type of building or something a shelter that you never ever count, that you never say, oh, I only need 2 of this or 1 of that. If you're building something with somebody and you need to hand them something, or they need something, and you have a bunch of those somethings, and you hand him a handful, he's only going to grab 1 or the amount that he needs. So he understands the count of what he needs, right? I just find that very difficult, that when a group of anybody is working together, and especially when you're creating things, you're making things, you're making tools, you're making weapons, you're building homes and all types of things, and talking about how they have these hierarchical structures and they don't count. Come on, they don't count, but they have places where they manufacture or produce certain things. He was talking about foods and different types of stations where they produce they cut up meats and they ground this or whatever it was thing involved, and none of that. I just find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe. If you're hunting, how many pieces of meat does this family get? Do they all hunt for themselves or do they share? Do they all get one piece of meat? Come on. I just find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that they don't use any form of counting. In what sense? In what sense? Hold on. Maybe I talked my way through this and I. See, as soon as he said not every culture has math in that sense, the symbols. So he says because they don't have the symbols for math, like I said, he's talking about writing it out. He's talking about being able to write out language. That's why you need symbols and icons and all of that. That's what he's talking about. And one thing has nothing to do with the other. Communicating has nothing to do with being able to write. So he's saying that they don't have the symbol for 4. They don't have the icon for 1. They don't have any representation for numerical value. But that doesn't mean that they don't understand counting or understand what 1 is or what 4 is. Just because they don't have a symbol for it doesn't mean that if you ask them for a piece of fruit that they won't just give you the 1. You know what I'm saying? No, he's using 2 different words. He says have no math. He said there's no mathematical concepts, and then turns around. The symbols. See, this is how, just what I'm talking about, where how words can be used to mislead you. Now he's saying that they have no math and then say that they don't have no symbols for math. That's 2 different things. Being able to have a concept of math and then having no symbol representation for numbers, that's 2 different things. This is what I'm talking about, how words is bullshit. Words are fake. Words don't mean anything. And what he's saying is bullshit. What he's saying is nonsense. I just don't believe that he really truly believes what he's saying. That these people, and from what I don't know if he studied some primitive people who don't have like up to date, like they still exist in today, but they're just like in a very primitive state. So still living like in the bush with loincloths and no clothes, stuff like that. And again, culture. All of these things he's talking about is made up things. Culture is nothing but how somebody did things. Like if I'm over here and I'm chopping wood, but I choose to chop my wood differently from you, and that becomes the way that my people choose to chop wood, but your people chop it in another way. It doesn't, not necessarily better, worse, but it's different. That's all culture is. It's that's that your people found a certain way of doing things that suited them, and your people found a different way to do the same thing. That's all culture is. There's no big people make out like all of these things are so significant. Like, oh, like they created specifically. No, it's something that they stumble onto. It's something that people just stumble onto, and then they make it something that's habitual and something that you recognize them as, you know, or for. And then that's how it becomes part of who they are as a people or a race or whatever. But that doesn't mean anything, because you take those things away and they're still the same people. They just won't have all of the you have to think of it like this. If we never started putting on clothes and adorning ourselves just to remain the animals that we were, we wouldn't have any culture. We'd be just doing what every other animal does: hunting for food, procreating, drinking water, and looking for shelter. That's all. The same thing every other creature does. We're not different. But we think we are because we use words. Something people made up. Things that something, grunts and clicks and noises. That's all we are doing now. We are just grunting, clicking, making noises. We are not, just because we have come to understand what we're saying. And not all of us do that well. We have to go to school in order to learn words. You don't see anything wrong with that? Why isn't it more normal? Why isn't it, if we're so brilliant, why isn't it instinctual? Babies instinctually communicate. We don't need the words. We use words to indoctrinate, enslave, degrade, manipulate. That's all we do. And this guy's doing it with everything that most of what he's saying. Whether he believes it or not, it doesn't matter whether you believe it. It's just like Kaiser Sose, the usual suspects. It doesn't matter if you understood, whether you knew that this guy worked for Kaiser Sose or not. You still trespassed against him. And this guy, whether he knows it or not, he's trespassing against you, because what he's saying is not true. It's not real. It's all imaginary bullcrap that he's making. Well, whether he's making it up, somebody makes it up. Whether he made it up or not, he has a career that he's trying to flourish in. He's trying to be big in. So he's going to come up with, of course, people have taught him. He's been taught these things. He's been passed down. These things have been passed down. So for him, he believes it. He believes it. He's part of the matrix. He's in the matrix. The matrix has a grip on him. So he functions within the matrix the way the matrix wants him to function. But I'm Morpheus, motherfuckers. I'm in the Nebuchadnezzar. And I'm out here listening. I'm on the outside looking in. And I'm trying to find my Neo. I'm trying to find me a Neo. I'm trying to find me one of the 1%, the hopefuls, the what did they call them? The prospect kids, the kids that had the powers, the ones, they was part of the 1%. They was all had the abilities that Neo had. They just wasn't the one, but they all were hopefuls. Well, that's what I am. I'm out here looking for some Neos, man. I'm looking for some Neos. People to wake up and get out of this and see that your whole life is some fake cosplay. And it's been like that for like 1,000 years, maybe more, since people started worshiping one another, following each other. That hierarchical society that he said, it got spun on its head because we lost the predators. And that's what changed everything for us, because now we no longer have those predators occupying our minds every second of the day. You had to be weary every second, worrying every second of the day what could jump out. You got to remember, we could have died. There was no hospitals. There was no there was no medical care. There was no, well, they probably had something that they rub on their wounds to make it feel better, mud and stuff like that. But there was no first aid kits and all of that. So you could step on a rock, cut your foot open, and get an infection and die. You could step on thorns. A plant could kill you. A tree could kill you. A bee could kill you. Everything was out there could cause you harm. Snakes, all forms of different spiders that can bite you, and who knows what can happen to you. Imagine us being in that situation where we've been out of that life. Like we go into the wild and everything. I bet you those primitive motherfuckers, if you ever watch Naked and Afraid, and people out there every night getting bit by mosquitoes. I bet you them Homo erectus, after being around for 200,000 years, a million years, 2 million years, some crap like that. I bet you they didn't worry about no mosquitoes and biting and all of that, because their skin was probably durable to that crap. They probably had built up some kind of resistance or had something in them. It wasn't until they started putting clothes on their back that it created a problem for them, because they made their skin soft and tender. Just like we did. We can no longer go outside naked. We got some people who do that wild shit, but you can't go outside and put yourself out into these situations, because we've made ourselves weaker, softer. Now he says indexes and signs. You go outside, you see some smoke, you know that there's stuff around. You see, we using words just to say that animals understand when they see certain things that it means that there's certain other things around or something happening. If one cause and effect, in other words, that's what he's saying. You think that when an animal sees smoke, they understand that there's fire? Or did it take some of them getting burnt the fuck up before they understood that? Oh man. So you're telling me that has something? He's found a stone with a smiley face on it, and what? That enhance his ability to communicate? I don't understand. He's talking about language beginning, and he's talking about a stone. How does that got to do with language? How does that got to do with grammar? What does that have to do? What these symbols and icons got to do with anything? He's talking about writing, and that has not. We're not. I'm not trying to find out about. I'm trying to find out why the motherfuckers start talking, and they don't know. So they come up with all of this rambling rose garbage, rambling about all of this and rambling about all of that to make you think that they're so intelligent. But all he's doing is talking in circles, a whole bunch of garbage that has nothing to do with language. Again, symbols. What does symbols have to do with language? He's talking about writing. He's talking about documentation. I can't listen to this nonsense. Who cares? Oh my God. Listen to this crap. That's grammar. You see, now you see the laws where the rules come in. Now, his G1 communication has to be in an order. You see, that's where the rules come in. That's where these made up fictitious rules come in for communicating. This is where you become less than if you don't follow the rules. This is why I say this is a whole lot of garbage, because you do not need rules to communicate. This is horse shit. This is crap that they shoving it into your face to make you believe that you are not of a certain caliber if you cannot follow these rules. And that's what school is all about. They teach you, your parents teach you, your school teaches you, they grade you on all of this crap. And if you don't get specific grades, they fail you because you don't learn all of these fake non-useful rules for communications, speaking, acting, and that's what it's all about. That's what the Matrix is all about, is to keep you in line. It's to turn a human being into money, just like in the clip that I showed you. It's all about making you follow a guideline so that you are regulated. And that's what I'm going to get into this a whole lot more when it comes to my school stream next week. Well, next week or the week after. I don't know if I'm going to do religion first or school, but it's all the same principle. Once you believe in something and you are following the rules and all that, you're being manipulated. You're malleable. You're easily moldable. That's what school is all about. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But school is the first. That's where they teach you all of these words. That's where, and it's the beginning of you being judged and being placed in hierarchical situations, because that's what school does. But again, I'm going to get more into that on that stream and in the video. But as far as words are concerned, these rules, when you communicate, you don't need, and then having these rules so that you can elaborate and listen to what he said. Listen to how he elaborates the different levels of grammar, the G1, the G2, and the G3s. Oh, so it's then if, so you have to add these little qualifying words inside in order to communicate. See? And if you don't do that, that makes you less than. You see? If you drink and you drive, then you go to jail. Instead of drink, drive, go to jail. But it's the same communication. It's the same exact communication. It's the same exact communication. Everybody can understand that. But the rules state, if you want to be an eloquent enunciator, proficient in the English language, then you need all of these extra hierarchical type words that fully round out the grammatical structure of your sentences and speech patterns. Like I said, manipulation. It's all about manipulating. You go through all of that, that means you're what's the word for being indoctrinated? You're well indoctrinated. That means everybody that comes, they understand that you going through this process. They know that you're well indoctrinated. Now you might not think that, but the people who hire you, see, this is where I'm gonna get into all of that. It's all connected. School, jobs, government, all of it is part of the matrix. It's all meant to put you into categories. That's where the slavery comes from. That's why you're enslaved, because it's all meant to put you into certain. That's why capitalism is a slave structure. It's a slave structure. You have to have people working. You have to have people willing to work. And in order to do that, in a capitalistic society, you have to force people to be poor. Otherwise, you're not going to have people working on the lowest levels. You're going to have people who only want to get the good jobs. Nobody's going to want to do the dirt jobs working for piddling money. So how do you guarantee that? School, language, all of these things. All of these things are the way to do it. You can't have wealthy people and without having poor people. You have to have poor people, because if everybody's wealthy, you're not going to have anybody working for you. If everybody is independently wealthy, nobody's going to work for no rich man. Nobody. Look at Ethan in the comic book business. Speaking of comic books, back she. Hike yo. He's doing well. He's on In Demand. And my man Billy Tucci, this is Deborah Tucci. She got it up there, and she, I guess she put it up. But Billy Tucci's sheet, and they had $122,662 with 1,618 backers, which is great. I would love to be able to have my campaign at this level. I know I'm not known, but I hope someday that I get mines up here. Might. That's right, people. Might is going to be ripping its way into the Comics Gate annals, and we're going to be trying our best to get up here with these guys. So back She, Haikyo by Deborah and Billy Tucci. And let's see how big you can get this. Not only that, let's back Narwhals and Richard Myers, $4.99, book one, graphic novel. We all know that Narwhal is a phenomenal artist and writer. So they come out of the gates blasting away at the competition. 44,725 backers. I would love to get these kind of numbers. This is the types of numbers that I want in the beginning of my campaign. I would love to get 1,000 backers and defeat some of the evils out there. I would love to get 500, 1,000 backers, because then I know I'd be able to deliver everything that I want to deliver to you guys. I want to be able to give you all a free book. And if I can get my campaign to like 50,000, 60, 100,000, I'll be able to give y'all free books. I'll be able to give you all of the trading cards and the free posters that I want to give. I want to draw y'all to my campaign, because this campaign is huge. This campaign is going to be massive. It's going to be an introduction to a universe that's going to show you so many different new characters, new bad guys, storylines, and a lot of my characters are going to be able to be split off into their own books, but not a lot of them are going to do that. I'm going to make sure to keep a lot of my main characters that's in this book together, and then I'll bring in outside characters into the book, have them do a great story or some kind of a story, whether it be epic or just small, in order to introduce them, and then I'll have them spin off into their own books, because I got loads of characters, loads of stories, but I want to start small and build to that. I don't want to come out too fast, gunning and running and trip and fall and bust my shit. So I want to do that right. So yeah, back $4.99 by Richard Meyer and your boy Narwhal, and yeah, do what they do. They're doing what they do. So I'm feeling left out. I'm right on the edge, because I'm here. I'm right on the edge. There's my campaign. I'm gonna put it in the description. There's the link right there. But I'm gonna put it in the link in the description. I gotta change this here so that it says you get an exclusive trading card and a splash page poster of heroes when you back. I see a lot of people putting that up there when you back. I don't want to think that because you sign up, you're just gonna automatically get. You gotta back the book in order to get this. So we gotta change this. We gotta get back in there. See, this is my very first campaign, and I didn't intend to put this up. I wanted to have art ready to go, but this is motivating me because if I didn't have this up, the art probably would take me another 2 months to get up. So because I don't want to put out garbage art. I'm doing everything I can to get my inks and my coloring to the point where I can feel happy that I'm giving you guys quality work to at least compete with a lot of these books that I see coming out, like Shihaikyo and $4.99 and a couple of others we're gonna do later on. But let's get back to this. And that's a mouthful of garbage. You don't need all of that to communicate. All you need is the G1. And that's what I'm talking about. We have all of these rules, words that fill your mouth full of garbage. We spend all of these time elaborating on this, just like what he just said. Oh, because he paid your bond and this and that, and he's not going to do that. You should already understand that shit. Exactly. He's never going to give you. You already understand that. It's not needed to be said. It's not needed to be said. We waste our time with words when all that matters is the emotion of being caught, locked up, and knowing that you ain't getting out. That's it. That's it. You've done it too many times. You don't need all that dialogue. It's a waste. A whole lot of nothing. And why shouldn't we be able to drink? Driving too, I don't care. So what? People get hurt all the time. You're supposed to die. These are things that are the realities of life that humans don't want to be part of. We want to exclude ourselves from it as if we can escape it. You can't escape death, baby. You can't. All you can do is try to push it, stave it off for a little bit. And you don't know if that's even what you're doing. Because all of this crap that we're doing, we're trying to live longer and all of that. How do we know that we're not creating a situation where we just wipe ourselves out? How do we know that we're not creating an extinction level event for ourselves with the global warming because we don't think that we should die? And that's what the global warming is all about. It's not because of factories and people. I mean, factories and meat and cows and all of that stuff and pollution. No, global warming is about people. Period. Everything that no matter what you're talking about, it's about people. It's about people. We're the ones that's dominating the planet. We're the ones that's creating the situation. We're the ones that don't want to change it. We're the ones that think that we can go and get all of the resources while all of that ice is melting so that we can make some billions, big business. Yeah, there's ramifications, consequences, what they say in life. So anybody try to steal my cornbread, there's gonna be consequences and repercussions. And that's what this is, man. We don't know what the consequences and repercussions are. We don't. But when it comes, and that's what I've been trying to tell people, man. Yellowstone, caldera. Look it up, people. Yellowstone caldera. And then look up the weather, what it's been these last few years, these last couple of years, how bad it's been. Look up the Hawaiian Island volcano eruption. Look up the weather, the earthquakes, frequencies, the level of the earthquake, ferocity, the seismic thing, 6 point that and 5 point, because back in the days they was like 4 point this or 3 point that. Then they all of a sudden we're talking about 6 point that, and this is becoming a regular and it's getting more severe. What's on the other end of that, baby? What's on the other end? People don't think about that. We don't know if all of our fracking and all of these things is creating a situation where Yellowstone goes pop, goes the weasel. Pop goes the weasel, cause the weasel go pop, motherfucker. I'm telling you. I'm just saying. I think we only got somewhere within 10 years before the pop goes the weasel. 5 years. 5 to 10 years tops, if that, because everything has been happening so fast. I'm telling you, in my lifetime, I've never seen the things that I've seen in recent years, man. And I'm telling you, I hope I'm not around when it comes. I hope I'm not around when it comes, man. Oh man, I do not want to be. It's all good and fun when you're looking at The Walking Dead and you can think, yeah, I'll just kill me some zombies and I'm gonna be the man. But you don't really want to be in that situation. You don't really want to be in that situation. You see? The G1 and the G3 is exactly the same thing. So then why do we need the G3 for? Why do we need the G3 for? Why do we waste our time with all of that extra shit if it's not just burdening ourselves? And then we wonder why people are so hung up on this and miscommunicating and always fighting and warring and all kinds of stuff, because we think too much. We think we are so smart, but we're not. We outsmarting our damn selves. He doesn't know that they were. He does not know. Dope. So if all animals communicate, what is this crap about Homo erectus and having all of these G3s and all of that communication? I don't think he needed all of that. I don't think he had all of that. No, only humans have burdened themselves with all of that linguistic, iconic, symbolistic garbage. Only humans need that crap because we are burdening, we are trying to imprison ourselves. We're trying to imprison one section of society so that another section of society can be rich and wealthy and in power. That's what all of this stuff is about. It's the Matrix, baby. And I'm trying to let y'all know that every part of what you think is just society is the Matrix. doing what the Matrix does, enslaving you. It's enslaving you. The forefathers wrote the Declaration of Independence and all of that stuff, right? Supposedly freeing us from Europe. But then they enslaved your ass right after that because they didn't want anybody in control besides them. That's why they created the system that they created. And they wanted it so that only people of power, wealth, and educated means or whatever was going to have that power that they were wielding. Otherwise, everybody would have been equal. There would have been no leadership because we don't need leadership. Leader to do what? What do you need someone to lead you to do? You know how to eat, right? You know how to fuck. You know how to drink water. You know how to find shelter. That's all you need. What do you need a leader for that for? Another thing, they don't know how far in depth animals communicate. You don't know. They don't know. All they can say is that because they don't have the structural communication that we have, which they don't know about that either. You don't know what animals are saying to each other. We can only speculate. Their language is just like Spanish to us. It's just like maybe not as elaborate, but that does not mean that they're not communicating on a sensible level. We only try to make them out to be less than because they don't mislead people, mislead each other the way we do. And purposefully. All of which is non-necessary. Cars, burritos, all of this stuff is what's killing us, making us weaker, softer. We was much better when we was walking. We was much better when we was doing, might not have lived as long, but the planet was healthier. We was better off. Less pollution. We need to get rid of some of this crap. That's right. It was invented. Somebody pulled it out of their ass. It's all fake. None of it's real. And we communicate with a bunch of fake words that mean nothing. The only time they're necessary is when we're describing something physical. But anything else, absolutely not essential for communicating, for being a society. Yeah, well, this is not what we was here for. We just wanted to find out where it came from. Hold on, let me see what we're doing over here. Okay, we got two people. It's an hour and a half. Okay, we can go another 20 minutes. Let's see what we got. Hey, what's going on, Hoth? Oh, all of that time? No. Oh man, praise the goddom. My boy Hoff. Why don't you come in? I sent you a link. Okay, let me see. Praise the goddom. Yes, my dog gets his point through to me pretty clear with his emotions. That's right. That's what the most important way of communicating is, our emotions. Daggone it. That whole video I wasted. I was on there for like an hour and I didn't share. I haven't done this for so long. Damn it. I didn't press the share audio. They really need to do something about that so that we can get that done. Yeah, man, you should have been in here, Hoff. That would have saved me. I can't go back and do that whole video over again. Damn. I can't go back and revisit that now. All right. So we'll do this other video. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Share audio. I should have checked. I didn't hear anybody come into the back room. That's what it is. I was listening, hoping to hear one of y'all pop into the back, and I would have got the indications. I should have been checking on my other device, but I didn't do that. See, that's why I need to get another monitor. All right, here we go. What's this? Pro tip, sharing screen audio. Have a guest, they will hear themselves. Okay. Got it. Don't show this again. Bitch. Okay, let's see where we're going. Over here. All right.
How did language begin? If we want to know when humans started making fire, or cultivating plants, or domesticating animals, we can look for what they left behind when doing those things. But what if we want to know how language began? Language disappears on the air as soon as it's produced. It doesn't get left behind. We will never dig up the first word or discover a fossilized sentence. That hasn't stopped people from speculating about how that first word came about.
This is a short video. It's only 3 minutes, so we should be able to get through this really quick.
For centuries, people have put forth theories on it. There's the bow wow theory, that language started from imitation of sounds that things make. There's the poo-poo theory, that it came from automatic vocal responses to fear, pain, surprise, or other emotions. There's the yo-he-ho theory, that it came from rhythmic grunts or chants used to coordinate actions when working on big projects together. There's the la-la theory, that it emerged from the sounds of inspired playfulness, poetic sensibility, and song. This one is lovely, but no more likely than any of the others. Theory, that it came from By the late 19th century, so much fruitless speculation about the origin of language was going around that the Paris Linguistic Society banned all discussion of the topic in its bylaws. It was fed-up scholars who gave the theories those silly nicknames. But even though language itself doesn't leave a trace, we can tell from fossils when we had the brains and other physical parts that make speech possible. For instance, we can tell when the voice...
No, you can't. Just because you think they had the parts that made speech possible, it doesn't mean that they knew how to speak. You don't know when they developed the speech patterns. They can vocalize. You know that they was able to vocalize, but you didn't know that they was able to speak. They can make noises.
Voice box moved into its current position. Chimps, our closest relatives, have their vocal parts that make speech possible. For instance, we can tell when the voice box moved into its current position. Chimps, our closest relatives, have their voice boxes in a higher place, so they can't produce the sounds we can. But they also can't choke on food.
What? Just because if their voice box is in a higher position means that they can't choke on food. I don't understand that. If they inhale and food is in their windpipe when they inhale, they can choke. I don't understand that. I don't see what the vocal cords got, the voice box got to do. One thing has to do with the other. I just don't understand that unless, and even so, if the voice box is higher, are they trying to say that the windpipe or that flap that opens up and closes when you're speaking or eating, swallowing, to prevent things from going down into your lungs, the pipe that leads to your lungs? Are they trying to say that because it's in a higher position, that food won't go down that pipe if you're inhaling while you're eating? Because again, what does the vocal cords, unless you're it has to do with inhaling while you're eating, while you're trying to swallow. That's how you that's how you choke. What does your vocal cords have to do with that? I just don't understand how that would prevent you from choking. They don't explain it. I don't understand.
We have speech, but we can choke. Evolutionarily speaking, it must have been really worth it to have the lower voice box.
What? Is she trying to say that because we evolved, our voice box dropped down to make us be able to speak better? There's no correlation. There's no way to prove that that's what makes the difference. There's no way to say that our voice box moved into a specific position just so that we can speak. Because if we can verbalize, and there's no reason why we wouldn't have been able to verbalize even with the voice box at a higher position. So what's the difference between being able to vocalize? No, vocalize instead of verbalize. Verbalizing, I'm trying to say, vocalizing, just making sounds, verbalizing, turning those sounds into words. What's the difference? I don't get it. How does the position of the voice box got anything to do with that? Again, they're not explaining.
So the physical pieces were falling into...
See, I ask questions. I'm an idiot. I'm not a bright person. I'm not super smart. But I ask questions, and that makes me a whole hell of a lot smarter than just somebody who takes what people say on face value.
Into place 100,000 years ago.
And it makes it a lot harder to trick me.
When we became Homo sapiens, did we have language then? Maybe. Maybe we first needed to develop better memory or more complex social structures or other abilities. By the time we were building things that required a lot of coordination, language was probably happening. Once we had the ability to think...
Maybe becoming Homo sapien had nothing to do with communicating.
Symbolically enough to make cave paintings, language was probably happening. Maybe it was first a sort of rudimentary toddler-like language. Maybe it started with gestures. Yes, that's a lot of...
You see, everybody's talking maybe. But being that we're here watching this, we're taking this as tend to take a lot of maybes. It's just like when you watch outer space stuff. And I love outer space stuff. If it wasn't for outer space stuff, I wouldn't be the artist I am, the creator I am, because a lot of my knowledge of my superhero powers come from me watching all of the episodes of the universe and how the universe works. I have 4 seasons of the universe, and I've seen almost every episode of how the universe works. So I love that stuff. And that's the reason why I don't believe that half of that, less than half, a lot less than half, I believe that most of that stuff is bullshit. And that's just because they keep saying, we don't know, but we know. We don't know, but we know. You know, and I don't know that you know that.
Of maybes, which should...
And now these people are saying maybe. But people tend to believe those maybes as facts.
Give you some sense of how much people still disagree about this.
Because people put it out as authoritative speech. She's saying maybe, but Why put it out at all if you don't know? Why say it at all if you don't know? Why are you going out and saying maybe, when maybe means nothing? It's not saying anything. You might as well not have said it at all.
Humans are the only beings that have language, but we're not the only ones that communicate. Why didn't it develop?
No, humans are not the only beings that have language. It's just not the verbalized type of language that we have. But that doesn't mean that the whatever sounds and grunts or whatever the noises that animals say to each other isn't a language. We don't know that just because we can't speak it. But don't say that they don't have a language. This is ridiculous. This is what I'm saying. People try to put themselves on a higher level than other animals, and it's not necessarily true. It's not.
Up in other species. Some people think there was a genetic mutation that created an innate language ability. Others think you don't need to assume a sudden mutation, but the right accumulation of other skills, good working memory, fine motor control, skill for pattern recognition and imitation, the ability to imagine other people's minds and make assumptions.
Why wouldn't they have good memories? All animals display some kind of memory. Why wouldn't they have memories? Why would you need some kind of specific memory in order to speak? It doesn't. It sounds like a lot of bullcrap they just throw together to make them sound like they're intelligent. Most animals, they live in a certain area, they leave that area, and they come back to it. Or they live in an area and they know the borders of that area because they piss or because how they mark the areas. So why do people need to have specific memory abilities in order to be able to speak? I just don't see when people start saying things that don't make sense to me. I question what they're saying and why they are saying it.
Assumptions about what they understand, an impulse towards social cooperation.
And if they truly understand what they're saying, because it sounds like bullshit. Why do people need to have a specific type of memory? Animals seem to have good memories. They just don't need it. Because once the situation is passed, they don't need to keep going back to it unless it's something life-threatening. It's only humans that hold on to things and burden themselves with memories and stuff like that. Again, it all begins with language, which is a lot of these things we don't need.
A long period where the young stay with adults as their brains are still developing. Some animals have some of these things, but humans have all of them. And maybe, if you have all those things together at a certain level, you get language for free on top of that. So how did language...
You get language for free? The other dude just got finished saying that language was made up and it's been built upon. So it didn't just... She's saying it as if, oh, we're smart enough, so all these library full of knowledge and language just fell into our laps. No. We was and then we was like axe, rock, tree, and then we was adding things. Somebody would add to it, and before like 100 years later, people was going instead of and rock, tree, they was going rock, give me rock, give me tree. You know, they added to it. This is nothing. You're talking about over hundreds of thousands of years, and she's talking as if it just happened.
Language begin. We don't know. But
yes, exactly. You see, we don't know. That's what a lot of times you hear them say. It's the same thing with the outer space thing. Ha, you was there, you seen it. You see that they keep saying, we don't know, but then they put it out as if they know what the fuck they talking about. How are we supposed to take these people serious?
But sometime between, 100,000 and 10,000 years ago, we started to share our thoughts with each other in words and sentences. Then, we immediately started using it to criticize teenagers for how they were ruining our language. That's what I think anyway. I'm calling it, all those things together at a certain level, you get language for free on top of that. So how did language begin? We don't know. But sometime between, 100,000 and 10,000 years ago, we started to share our thoughts with each other in words and
That's 90,000 years of not knowing what the fuck you're talking about. Between 100,000 and 10,000. Sometime in that time, we just started talking. Yeah, these people really educated. We really put our faith, and this is what they're teaching our kids. This is what people go to school to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for education to learn this type of crap. I'm telling you, it's all bullshit. Get at me next week, people. I'm telling you, this stuff is. I'm going to move on to schools and religion. This stuff is garbage, people. Trust me. This stuff is lies. It's all misrepresentations. Here we got, what do we got here? Okay, the audio. Thanks for the invitation. By the way, no problem, brother. Can't join the show today because busy. Okay, no problem. Next time. I haven't been on in a long time. It's my fault. I'm trying to get my art together so I can get Mike out there. And so I kind of fell off the map so I could get into drawing. I spent 10 years of not drawing anything, but I kept creating characters and writing names in my book. So it got to where I was trying to draw, and I thought my talents was all there, but I would get to parts where I couldn't draw hands, and I used to be a great hands drawer. Then my faces wasn't coming out the way I wanted it. So I had to really go back to the drawing board and start putting in the time and the effort into just drawing and fleshing out my story. And the two of those together, and then creating my ragman and messing with clay, all of those things together was just like hindering everything. And then I hated making videos, and the loathing of the videos and moving into the live streams and not wanting to do the videos, all of that kind of stagnated the channel. And so there's a lot of things that was causing me headaches, and I really didn't want to get involved with anymore. And I kind of was like falling off. But I was watching all of these people with their campaigns, and I need to get my campaign out there. So I have to do it. It's just realizing I can't be an idiot about this. This is the way to grow my channel. This is the way to be independent, not having to worry about other guys in Comicsgate promoting me. And so I got to grab my oar and row. So I'm trying to row. All right. Yeah, you should use this slight echo to your bestials. Come back to the pit. Well, I don't hear the echo. I don't hear it until afterwards in replay. I don't hear no echoes. I'm hearing very clearly. I'm trying to get rid of the echoes. I don't know what to do with that. But yeah, people, we out of here. It's just about 2 hours. Yep, 5:56 and counting. So like I said, the Matrix doctrine is real, people. The world around you is fake. Realize it and don't be manipulated, man. Everything is fake. Everything. And we're going to go through them one by one, all of the systems of control. This is just one. This is just one, people. Let me see what I got here. Yeah, I think I'll have to pull myself. And here we go. Sovereign Wolf Clan Destiny, $14,883, 291 backers. He's got 10 hours left. Oh, today's the last day. 3 o'clock, California time. It's gonna end. So 3 o'clock, no, 3 o'clock Eastern time is gonna end. 12 o'clock California time. So campaign update, everything, perks, misleading is, I don't know. But I like what he's doing here. I see these I see this artwork here. Stuff is nice. I believe these are covers. Yeah, so the interiors look good. Looks pretty good, man. Can't complain. I can't really see the cross hatching or anything like that, so I can't really say that this is how I want my stuff to look. But they are spotting the black. They spotting them blacks now. They spotting them blacks. Them Negroes. No, they're spotting the blacks, and I don't see a lot of cross hatching though. I see some zipper tone, it looks like. But that's what I'm trying to perfect my black spotting my blacks and my cross hatching, getting my hatching to look uniform and just look like I know what I'm doing instead of all over the place. I don't want it to look all over the place, like random, just hatches thrown in. I want it to look like I know what I'm doing, and I put it in specifically. So, yeah, we're gonna back this book. It's Sovereign Wolf by Eddie Winkler, and yeah. And the last one we're gonna do today is 94, Volume 1 by Shelby Roberson. I believe he inks for Dan Frager. So he's got 10 hours left. Also, he's got 100 backers. So this is good. This is good. I don't know how good the art is. I see some of the ribs and stuff like that. That looks good. Decent hatch work. I always look at people who can teach me something. You know, if you have stuff that I think I can learn from, that's what I don't care what the art looks like, if it's good or bad. If there's something that I think I can learn from it, that's what I like to examine and look at. Just know what you need. You gotta know where you fall short and look to improve. Mine's is in the inking. So, and the colors I'm not too sure yet because, well, I think I'm pretty good, but so I'll figure that out. The inking is my hardest stuff. So that's just for now. I'm getting better. So people, we're gonna be getting up out of here. Thanks for coming through, Hoff. Thanks for coming through, Christopher. And remember, if you haven't been freed, you're a potential agent. And I'm out.